Maybe you would like to build on the PFC and the development of the PFC and the impact of that for our whole life.
Frontal cortex, and the frontalist part of it is the prefrontal cortex. PFC, it's the coolest part of the brain. We've got more of it than any other species. And what does it do? It like makes us do the hard thing when that's the right thing to do. It makes us control our impulses and regulate our emotions and do long-term planning and gratification postponement. It does all of this like really cool, difficult stuff. And there's some really interesting implications of it. First one is it's the last part of your brain that fully matures. Not until you're about a quarter century old, which is most of your brain's wired up before you step into pre-K. And your frontal cortex is still cruising along there, being shaped by environment. Why is it? Because learning what counts as the right thing to do is pretty subtle. I mean, we all get taught when we're 5 years old that you don't lie. It's not until you're 20 or so that you get pretty good at knowing, nonetheless, what things are you expected to lie about. It takes a long time for the prefrontal cortex to learn what counts as the right thing in different circumstances, because that's very complicated. The next interesting implication of it is if that's the last part of your brain that fully matures, by definition, it's the one that is least controlled by your genes and most sculpted by environment. And probably the last thing that's most interesting to me in terms of long-term consequences, have a stressful, toxic childhood full of adversity, all of that. Among those consequences are your prefrontal cortex is probably not going to work as well as average. And for the rest of your life, at all those junctures where are you going to do the right thing, even though it's the harder thing to do, you're going to blow it over and over and over again. And what you could see is by age 5, things like cumulative childhood stress is already a predictor of how fancy of a prefrontal cortex you're in the middle of constructing. This is like astonishing. Yes, 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 have childhood traumas, and the die is not cast. It is not guaranteed that there's going to be bad outcomes. And it sounds like you're a great example of exceptions to that. But it's going to take a lot more work, and it's going to take a lot more luck